usage of technologies like digital content, mobility, social media, and web enablement. I would request him to take the presentation now.
Good noon, everyone. So the topic I'm going to talk about is on mobility and analytics. And already, there have been quite a bit of talk about mobility and analytics and how it is so important. And it really wasn't like planned between Andy, Pankit, and myself that we are going to focus on these topics. So we worked standalone on these presentations. So the important point here is that everyone invariably in the industry now feels that the time is more than ripe for technologies like mobility and analytics and big data and cloud computing to be adopted mainstream, if not already done so, because the benefits are tremendous. So in this presentation, I'm going to talk about mobility specific to industry, that how the industry can benefit, what are the broad areas where industry can benefit from mobility, from analytics, and from big data. Okay, so in the past few years, there's been an explosion of sorts as far as these technologies are concerned. So if we talk about mobility, and here I'm going to talk about very few data points. There's a lot of statistics available, so I'm not going to bore you with all those data numbers, but just to get a sense of how big the market is, how big the industry is, how important it is for the industry. So for example, mobility in manufacturing, according to some estimates, by 2016, approximately 23% of enterprise application markets would be coming from manufacturing. Then in analytics, analytics has been, despite the recession and all of that, analytics industry has generated a double-digit growth for the past 2 years and is projected to grow, at the same pace. And right now, it is for the most of the CIOs, in most of the organizations, it's a #1 area where the new spend is happening or people want to focus more on that area. Incidentally, mobility is the #2 area on CIO's radar where they want to spend their money. And then in big data is a relatively new area that has captured people's fancy because of its fantastic ability to take a lot of data and then analyze it and present you results in almost real-time basis. So the numbers, we are talking about petabytes or zettabytes of data, and every year this data is doubling or tripling up, with the whole social media explosion and more and more data getting generated by organizations. And with that focus on data, the conventional kind of analytics, soon a time will come when your conventional analytics system in terms of performance, they will start giving you issues if you want to do a lot of this analysis. So talking about mobility, first. So in mobility, the recent thing that I'm seeing, and I think Andy mentioned in his keynote address that a lot of people, the way they move from desktops to laptops, and now the same movement is happening from laptops to iPads or tablet devices or phone devices. So in fact, I was talking to a client of mine and a senior manager in the industry, and what she said was that she hardly uses her laptop. Most of the time, she's on her iPad, where she gets all the data, reports, etc. Mobile now, incidentally, is being used by a lot of organizations for its initial purpose, which was to make calls and receive calls. More and more, because you want to look at data, you want to look at rich graphs and all, and iPad is a good interface for that. Whereas mobility has its own benefits, has its own business case. For example, the approvals you want to do, right? You are always on the move and you don't want to spend time. You have so many leave approvals, expense approvals, this approval, procurement approval coming in. So you end up doing a lot of approvals, and most of the time in the conventional scenario, you do it on your laptop. So by doing it on mobile, actually you are saving a lot of your time. You are using up your idle time to get rid of the mundane stuff which otherwise eats up your valuable time. Then the decision making, because on the go you have data at your hand. You can see on your tablet device or your iPhone or BlackBerry the reports, your dashboards, etc. And so even while you are away, and as senior managers, all of you travel a lot. So and there are people reporting into you who are waiting for your decisions, and sometimes these decisions get delayed, and because of that there's a loss of direct or indirect money for the organization. So it's really helpful for executives who are traveling and who want to be in touch with business, don't want to lose the pulse of the business. And we spoke about productivity, and finally mobility is not only about viewing reports for faster decision making or productivity by certain things making available on your handheld device, but it also helps you in unlocking rupee or dollar value where conventional things cannot do. For example, if I take an automotive workshop, a car workshop, all of us go as customers to car workshop, and typically what we see is that service advisors, they come to you, they on their piece of paper they write down all the repairs and all. They will note that damages, and then if you have some query, if this part is available or accessory is available, they'll go to the computer and then type. So it takes quite a bit of time, and then they will get it punched into the system and then generate a repair order and give it to you. But here, with an iPad, they can do all these activities while on the car. They can open the repair order. They can take pictures of the car so that they don't have to note down, what are the sort of damages. In case there's some serious technical issue which is observed, they can click the picture and straight away send to the OEM organization. So that the quality engineers can take a look at it and take actions immediately. And then you can also have credit card swiping provision attached to your handheld device, so that at the time of invoicing, again, you don't have to go to the your computer or laptop to do all these activities. So this frees up a lot of time for the service advisor, and in terms of customer satisfaction, because you don't have to wait, it increases tremendously. Your quality people benefit because, whoever is in the office, because there is a whole lot of information that can be sent back, which is useful if you get in real time. So these are broadly three areas which, when you are considering your mobility roadmap, you should consider these three areas. Second is on analytics. So analytics has been around for ages. I mean, reporting in its most basic form has been around since the beginning of business itself. But the last few years for analytics has been absolutely fantastic, absolutely exciting. The reason being, you have now the kind of configurable, personalized dashboards which were not there earlier. So as managers, we can look at the reports, the data points, the way we want to do. And, we don't have to, I remember 15 years back when I started my career, whenever the monthly meeting used to happen, it used to be a 1-week task for me to make a report for my general manager. Now, these reports are available for the managers almost on a real-time basis, or even if your dashboard is not configured for real-time, even if it is, 1-day-old data which gets refreshed every night, still the kind of information, the kind of visually impactful information that you get, it really helps in decision making a lot. And then till some time back, we were at mercy of the back-end guys, the IT guys, to generate certain new kind of views or slice and dice reports, because though those functionalities were available, but it needed some sort of user training to be able to use those tools effectively. But now with in-memory computing, which is basically that all these computations, they happen in RAM rather than the hard disk. Hard disk takes a lot of time to churn data, whereas in memory, if you are doing the processing, it is much, much faster. So basically, you can do these different views. You can do different kind of what-if scenarios, which are important for decision making almost immediately. And these days, because time is something all of us don't have, and as users of consumers of other technologies also, we are used to speed. I mean, 2G, 3G, 4G. So we are getting used to access information faster and faster. And because our behavior is shaped in such a way, so even when we are doing some work for an enterprise, we expect the same kind of response, right? So typically, within 3 seconds, if you get the response, you are happy with it. If it takes 5, 6 seconds, maybe you will be patient and you'll wait. If it goes on for 8 seconds, maybe you will, try it after some time. And if it is more than 10 seconds, then probably you will not come to that again. So that is the importance of speed. And then you have unstructured data analysis. You have so much of social data. And let's not talk about social data only, because that is far more critical in B2C and slightly lesser critical for B2B organizations. So there also you do a lot of surveys. You have so many emails coming in. You have your call centers where you have so much of call center script. So there's a lot of information which doesn't get analyzed properly. So it's really important to be able to use some sort of unstructured data analysis tool which can tell you that, okay, these are the number of failures which customers are reporting, so that even before the customer reaches the stage of warranty or failure, you can catch the sentiment way early in the failure cycle and take corrective measures for it. So then big data is a lot of people are saying a lot of great things about it, and there's a debate going on about how important is big data. More than that, it's not a question of important. It is that how fast will it become mainstream. It's a recent phenomena. So some of the unique things about big data, why we keep talking about big data, and whenever we talk about modern analytics, no discussion is complete without talking about big data. So it can get you data from anywhere and everywhere. It's not that you are dependent on some connectors or some technology to pull that data. Otherwise, you will keep hearing this from your IT people that this is a different technology. I cannot get data here. It will take so much time in developing the connector for that. So that way, it is easier. And then you can do massive calculations, within big data system. Big data is basically, just to demystify the term, it is basically the database as well as the physical appliance where the database is stored. So that is together. I mean, it's like Apple device. They make the software as well as hardware. So the performance is really good. Same is the case here. And typically, you go from 64 GB of RAM to up to 10 terabytes of RAM, and it is compressed. So net to cut all this, talk about technical statistics and all, net, you can put all your organization data into a big data appliance, and you can get reporting at the speed of light, okay? So, and that too, complex algorithms. You have complex algorithms, and there are, business areas when we talk about inventory. There is so much of data, so much of analysis can be done, but it is not humanly possible to, do it or program it, in the conventional analytics, because there'll be performance issues to get real-time inputs, which will help you, in taking decisions that are really important. Another area which I'll talk about is, SNOP area, sales and operations planning. So many departments, so much of data, from the demand side, you have the sales and marketing people, from Production side, you have the plant people. There are so many plants, and then you have the financial people who want to see the impact of financials also. We end up spending whoever is involved, managers involved in SNOP, they end up spending a lot of time of the month in SNOP planning. And people who are working under that, they just become data crunchers. They're crunching data most of the time because it's not totally automated. A lot of data exists in Excel. Some data exists in some systems. Production and sales and marketing work on different systems. Finance will be probably on a different ERP. So you have a fragmented environment. So this helps in bringing all the data together and doing these difficult calculations, be it predictive analytics, be it forecasting, or be it doing complex what-if scenarios, almost on a real-time basis. So let's see what happens when these three things come together. Each of these, by the way, are huge transformational initiatives for the organizations. But when we bring these three things together, you get a really transformational scenario, which is big data analytics on mobile. Imagine you guys are traveling and all these complex calculations, which take so much time, your team works on it and then comes up with it, and you say, no, let's try to reduce the production and then see, production of a particular model and then see what is the impact on that. Again, they go back to the drawing board. It takes 2 days, and by that time, some changes in the market have happened, and you want to do something else. So you are always trying to play catch up with the data, the speed at which data is moving. So if you have all these things together, big data analytics on mobile, it gives you unlimited power in decision making. I mean, all of us as decision makers, because data is not always available the way we want it to be. So a lot of times we use our experience, our gut feeling, non-data related things, we depend on these to come up with these decisions. But big data analytics on mobile helps you in supporting your decisions with accurate analysis, real-time analysis of large amount of data. So let's see what it means. Let's see a couple of scenarios in the industry. So one, I spoke about sales and operations planning. So the data coming from different sources, so you can generate what-if scenarios. You can do analysis, financial analysis of different decisions that you take, how it will impact. The time cuts down drastically. I mean, it's most of the organization, it's almost a month-long activity. So the meetings will still continue to happen, but at least the data crunching time and the preparation, and typically whenever the main meetings of SNOP happen towards the end of month for the next month, during that time the reports are getting ready at the last moment. So you have very little time to review those reports, etc., or do different kind of analysis before actually you walk into the meetings. So this helps you in cutting down the time and using that time to do a lot of what-if scenarios, which will help you in accurate, better decision making. And then when you are in the production period, from your demand channel, you will get different sort of requirements. For example, I'm from automotive background. So, color change, or I want to change a variant, or I want to do that. Those kind of requests will keep coming from all the dealers, who in turn are trying to fulfill the needs and requirements of their customers. So accommodating these kind of changes, because this involves a lot of calculation, because your production schedule gets impacted, and all of those kind of things happen. So it really helps you in meeting the demand at the last moment as well. Then another scenario that I picked up was on power distribution. Now that smart meters are going to be the norm as we move forward, rather than exception, the amount of data we would have would be tremendous. We would have consumption pattern of each and every individual customer on a real-time basis. We will have the different customer segments that are there. By customer segments, we can capture by businesses, what kind of businesses are consuming what kind of power, during what kind of, peak hours or off-peak hours. So these kind of information will help you in shaping the customer demand. If you want to shift, the peak hours, if you want to reduce a load, you can probably have, differential tariff for the day or for a particular customer segment where you can offer some sort of discounts or some rates for consumption in off-peak hours. Then you can also provide, customers, a mobile app where they monitor it themselves, that what is their consumption pattern. So if you look from a retail perspective, individuals like you and me at our home monitoring power, I think that's a wonderful thing for people to, cut down on their electricity expenses and use it judicially. And so these scenarios, I mean, wherever you can think of lot of data, difficult calculations, think big data. If you talk about customer segmentation, if you want to, have a strategy which says that, okay, I want to, customers who are not really satisfied, but they are, they give me a lot of money. I don't want them to be dissatisfied. So measuring the satisfaction, absolute customer value, that itself is a challenge, because the data on customer satisfaction will come from your contact center, it will come from the surveys you do, it will come from multiple places, it will come from industry surveys, etc. And then you have the customer lifetime value, right? From the time customer purchase, how much of equipment he has bought, how much equipment of competition the customer has bought, what is the revenue, is the equipment getting serviced regularly, has the customer bought warranty contracts, has the customer renewed the lease. So there are so many data points that normally, doing such of calculations and segmenting the customer data basis of that is really very difficult. But with big data, you can do it, and you can do real-time promotions. You can set rules in the system which say that, okay, as a customer, let's say it's winters, I'm, maybe in an area where it snows a lot. So maybe I could, snow tires or ski boards. That is a promotion I would want to do because I have this information about the customer. So lot of potential to increase your revenue and increase your customer satisfaction by doing this. And you can do product profitability analysis. The product managers, marketing can, optimize the product mix by doing these calculations and also incorporating the sales data that they go on a daily basis and, for the remaining month, whatever the production schedule is, getting that and optimizing that, wherever it can be done, if changes can be done to improve the product mix. Then we spoke about inventory management, then you have financial planning. So the potential is limitless. I mean, eventually what is going to happen is, and I'm sure that would happen in foreseeable future, that your transactions, I mean, normal ERP or CRM applications as well as databases, both will coexist in a big data appliance. Because you do that, and sometimes, when you are working on an ERP, that also takes 1 second or whatever time to respond. But with this, it would be lightning speed the moment you get that there. So with this, I come to the last slide of my presentation. That okay, now these are the benefits, these are the different scenarios. Organizations who haven't already cracked this or are still in the process of doing these implementations, what should they do? How do they approach it? How do they go about implementing these solutions for their organizations? So for mobility, the first and foremost thing is that there should be a clarity in thought that what you want to do, what business functions, what areas, the 3 areas we spoke about: improving productivity, decision making through analytics on mobile, and unlocking dollars. Unlocking dollars is the tricky one, which needs some amount of foresightedness to think of these solutions. The first 2 are quite obvious. You have to improve productivity. You have to, the business case, the benefits are all out there. So have the mobility roadmap. Because why I'm saying mobility roadmap is important, because otherwise I have seen a lot of customers they are sporadic events of mobility development, which eventually results in higher expenses, overall higher total cost of ownership of these applications. So have the mobility roadmap in place and deploy the most critical applications that you think from a decision-making perspective, from productive perspective as, the first step. Then as we move into the future, more and more we are seeing, earlier it used to be, and even now it is true for most of the organizations, typically aligned with BlackBerry as an enterprise device. But now that is changing. Organizations are realizing that in the long term that won't help the people, because they are users elsewhere also, and a lot of my things get fulfilled through iPhone. I want use iPhone. So employers are now thinking of having this policy of bringing your own device. So as an employee of an organization, I can bring any device irrespective of the device. Whatever enterprise applications are there, they should get supported on my device. And now the technology in terms of programming and all is, I won't get into that, but that is also there to support this policy. So in case, you haven't aligned your mobility infrastructure to one particular type of software ecosystem, then I think you should strongly consider bring your own device kind of a scenario. Then mobility as an extension to all new projects. The major shift that I'm seeing in organizations that are ahead of the curve on the maturity continuum, that now any new project comes, by default, mobility is also a part of it. Whatever use cases, whatever scenarios, within that application implementation make a business case for mobility, that is, by default part of the proposal. So that is another, once you adopt mobility on a large scale and going forward, this is the way, you can go about it. Analytics. So in-memory analytics, a lot has been discussed about it, so I don't need to, stress again on the virtues of the same. So it's a must-have for managers. It's no longer an option. I mean, if you need to get a competitive edge, and in, few years, maybe 2-3 years from now, it may not be a competitive edge. It will be a hygiene factor. So sooner you get into that mobility bandwagon of, having reports, intelligent reports, analytics on the mobile, better it is. So unstructured data analysis, voice of customer. I was reading a very, very interesting report from Forrester, which, talked about industry from 1900 to till now. So time of 1900 to 1960 was industrial revolution, where before that, higher the population you have, better output you have. But the moment industrial revolution hit the world, I mean, this directly proportional population, more production, it went for a toss. So if you have industrial revolution, the likes of Ford and, other manufacturing organizations, during this time, they grew because they were early adopters of industrial revolution. Then from 1960 to 1990 was a time of distribution, when people were working on developing their distribution chain, and also, from a supplier perspective, working on logistics, how to get, maybe just in time or whatever kind of, approach they took. And then came the age of information, the internet age and all of that. And 2010 onwards is the age of customer. That's what they are saying, that, customer centricity, customer experience should drive whatever actions you are doing. And even in a market like US car market, which is conventionally been, made to stock, where people buy off the lots, unlike Europe, where people are willing to wait for up to a month to get the model of their choice. Even those guys are now moving towards this model, because customers no longer want to, do with the model that is on your lot. So that is a, fundamental change which has happened. And voice of customer, it's a powerful way of understanding the customer sentiment. Otherwise, data points, how much you have sold, and those kind of hard numbers sometimes can be misleading. It may not represent. It's like, if you make black cars, you will keep selling black cars, right? So again, mobility should be an extension to all analytics projects. And finally, big data. So big data, to start with, I won't recommend, a large scale adoption, but the areas, and from manufacturing perspective, SNOP is a very close subject to my heart, and I strongly believe that organizations need, stand to gain a lot by adopting big data for certain scenarios where it makes sense. However, as a long-term strategy, you should have a strategy to move all your data eventually into a big data appliance. And like everyone before me said, talked about cloud computing. So all these things, you need not spend so much of money, because big data relative to, earlier